The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome back to a very special Home Field Advantage. She's Teresa Autrey, 294-4210, 294-4210. I am Tony Kurre, your co-host here on Home Field Advantage, a show about real estate, about the mortgage business, and it's always changing and it's exciting. And if you're looking for a home, you're like, why can't I buy one? We got all the answers for you here. But it is a Good Friday, and happy Good Friday to you, and happy Holy Weekend to you as Easter comes up on Sunday. How are you, dear? I know you've been going through some medical issues of your own. You look, the color looks good, and so happy to have you back on Home Field Advantage.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And we need to do a shout out to our daughters. I think my daughter's birthday was Saturday, the 12th, and so was yours, wasn't it?
It was.
You should tell them happy birthday.
So your daughter had the same birthday mine did, huh? On the 12th?
Yes, and that's my father's birthday as well. My daughter was actually born on my father's birthday the week after he passed. See, my father passed and was buried on Good Friday. Well, and then Monday was his birthday, and that's when she came, April 12th. Well, so I didn't know that until you said, it's my daughter's birthday. I was like, oh.
Oh, so that's awesome.
Happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday to your daughter as well. Yeah, I have a teenager, which is a teenage girl, so look out.
That's okay. It gets worse when they get grown. She's 26 and works as a psychologist in a prison. Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right. Yeah. Well, happy birthday to her, and congratulations to your family. What's been going on? You got Easter going on this weekend. Talk about this Easter in general a little bit. A lot of people don't realize, and you and I are Bible thumping people. We love our Lord and Savior, but we also realize that this is the most important day of the year. What's it mean to you?
Well, I sent it to my son and daughter just as a reminder, because even though they're grown-ups, I just want to reiterate something, because you never know when something's going to affect someone else. And I told him, I said, good morning, guys, because I know this is a tough period. My daughter also lost her great-grandmother last Saturday on her birthday. Wow. So I wanted to make it as positive as I could. So I said, just remember that today starts the day that, Jesus died on the cross for us, the Son of God, and that he paid the debt that we couldn't pay, that he didn't know that we did owe. Yeah. And just remember that, it's our responsibility to do unto others as we would have done unto us. And that now that my son has a son, that we have to put this into generational people. And we can't start at 20 telling kids what to do. You got to start at birth. You're right. And so I just told him, just remember that today he hung on the cross, but Sunday. And he was put to death in the most horrific, torturous way at the time any human could be put to death. And we just need to realize that, especially when I get too haughty or too arrogant or too entitled, I just have to remember that someone paid a debt that I couldn't, so that I could have a life worth living one day.
Amen to that. I usually I take a little bit more time to pray and meditate this week and try to remember, like you said, every day is a holy day this week. The Last Supper, of course, obviously was last night. And then, of course, you got Good Friday, and there's a reason why it's called Good Friday. And just try to prioritize, realize what's really important and what Jesus went through for us. It's whether you watch as a documentary, it's got a bunch of different televangelists and priests and people like that are part of it, called Jesus, His Life. It's a 10-part series that'll be running on the History Channel, which is really, really good. And it's something the entire family can watch. But just to put it in perspective, and it is about his life and what he went through and the torture that he had to endure, so we could find heaven and have our sins wiped away. Pretty miraculous and amazing story. So happy Easter to you, and please remember, when the tomb is empty, he is risen. We are good to go. All right. Speaking of tombs being empty, how many open homes do we have in the Birmingham market? What's going on with the Birmingham market? I'm hearing a lot of different things. You just gave me some 30-year, 20% down numbers. And then I heard something where 70% of Americans can't afford a $400,000 home, but the median price is $420,000. What's going on in the marketplace right now? Because we have not caught up the last couple of weeks.
Okay, we're going to start to stabilize. That's what's happening. The market is shifting to where it needs to be. And I know that sounds weird coming from someone who makes their living off of commission, but I want every person who is eligible, who can afford to buy a home. And they don't need to be so high that they're living in substandard situations.
Mm-hmm.
There needs not to be 25 people living in one house, unless, it's 55 bedrooms.
Yeah.
So let's talk for just a minute. So just so you know, rates are right now 30-year fixed rate with 1% down, 4.99.
Okay, that's good.
That's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is there's a lot of incentives in new construction right now. It's springtime. They're trying to unload that inventory, get new projects started. So there's inventory out there still. We're low. So I'm going to remind the buyers, I love you to death, but don't go in there offering, if it's $500, don't be going in there offering $400. We ain't there yet. You're going to insult somebody, make them mad, and then they ain't going to buy the house. Be realistic. That means get market report, get you standards for that neighborhood, and make sure you're going in with as much knowledge as possible.
Okay.
That's all I want to do.
Okay.
So let's talk shop.
Yes. Yeah, let's talk shop. I get info at TonyCurryRadio.net. I get emails here, and I got an email from Peter in Birmingham, and I was just looking at it while you were.
This is my favorite part of the show. You know that, right?
Yeah, because and you can tell where people are thinking. Yeah, and you can tell what people are thinking of, and he has listened to the show, loves the show. Finally, a good. Real estate show that I can believe in, and goes on and on and on. And Peter, we thank you so much. He had mentioned that several shows back that you had mentioned the fact that there is not a lot of money to be made in being a builder right now. And he wants to know the reason why. A builder. There's not a lot of money in being a builder right now. And he wants to know why. If there is a lack of homes and you've got the money to build, and your family's been in part of developing in the last 30 or 40 years. I live in an Autrey development.
3 generations.
Yeah, 3 generations. So if it's why isn't it a good moneymaker? I would think that if you had billions of dollars, now would be the time to buy up all the land and build as many homes as you possibly could, because we have a shortage.
It is, but let me explain something. The 1s and 2s is where you're not going to make your money.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
1 or 2 houses you're looking at, and I think we discussed this. 8 to 10% is a good profit for a builder.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not 50 or 100,000%, nothing like that. And remember, they put all the money up front before you even make your first payment.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of risk. There can be reward. A lot that is happening right now, number one, and people forget this. They think about just the builder. The builder is not 99%. They're not the ones slinging the hammer. They're not the ones moving the dirt. They're not the ones installing the HVAC. They're not the ones putting electrical in. So let's look at some factors that go into that.
Okay.
Well, they just changed the Freon on the HVAC. Now we have a propane Freon. That is twice as much as the regular Freon. That was just approved 2 years ago.
Okay.
So now your Freon is running, are you ready for this? $120 a pound.
Wow.
Do you know what your insurance pays for Freon? If it ever goes out, $10 a pound.
Yeah. Wow.
So there in itself, labor has gone up because living has gone up. So you can't get the same person to work for the same amount they could work 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You also have a lot more positions that need to be filled right now. We are short on roofers, sheetrockers, HVAC. And I don't mean these one-hit wonders out there that do 5 houses a year that disrupt it. I mean the guys that are out there doing 5 a week.
Gotcha.
I mean, if they're having issues, then yes, the people down the line are going to have issues. I will tell you that your subs make or break your profit.
Your subcontractors, yeah.
And so if you've got the best tile guy, but he's got no employees right now, or they're too stretched out, or he don't have the crew, you're stuck. And every day that builder is sitting there with not something going and that house is not closed, he's paying interest on that house.
Yeah.
And we don't get the same interest rates as y'all do. We're at 10% or plus. Do you see where I'm going with this?
No, and I think you're describing it perfect. And I know that you've been in the house building business. Yeah.
And then let's talk about this, okay? Look at the land. The land dictates what you build.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are exceptions to that because I can't go up on top of a mountain, build with nothing but iron and rock and build something there. I really could. But is it going to be feasible? my father was a builder. My stepfather was an excavator. And those guys were not cheap.
Yeah.
But they can make a sandwich with the excavator. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. These guys are surgical. Are you going to hire someone that you can pay to get the job done right the first time? Or are you going to take somebody that don't know what they're doing and they're going to take 3 times as long or create problems?
Yeah.
So there's things like that. Like you're right now, we're short on labor. We were short on materials a few years ago. Now it looks like that's going to eventually get back to solidarity. But remember, we have all these companies coming into America right now. Where are they going to live? Yes, we got all the illegals out, and J.D. Vance just did a wonderful, he put in words I couldn't understand, and whether you like him or not, he's not wrong, which is, where were those 20 million illegals going to live?
Yeah.
Now, they're going to people that could not afford houses because they could get as much money as they wanted from illegals. And let's face it, some people were, what do they call those things? Not scoundrels, scalpers.
Yeah.
They were like charging 4 times the rent because they knew they were illegal.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. Well, now that they've gone home to visit their homeland and we've got a few more homes open, then it comes into, do you fix this? Does it get up to speed? Do you get other people in there? What happens here? Then also, there's a lot of projects in the pipeline, especially in Shelby, Jefferson, and Chilton County right now. Where are they going? Where are the people going to live?
Yeah.
So if you're already short on inventory, you only have a few options. People die, they'll get disasters happen. But at this point, we've had disasters in Texas and North Carolina and California. And those people got to live somewhere too.
Yeah. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Another email, this from Barbara. She wants to know, all I'm hearing about is tariffs and how much it's going to cost to own homes, home improvement stuff like that, cars. What are the tariffs doing to homes? What are tariffs doing to home buildings? Nothing at all. Nothing
because we have more forest land. We as Americans have more forest land than most people in the world. Now, the one good thing the Japanese did years ago, they saw the forest problem coming and they started planting inside of scientific buildings, trees, and they refurbish them. And that's exactly what Donald Trump has said we're going to do. We're going to get our own forest and we're going to replant as they come up, along with planting the forest floor, which they should have been doing in California the last 100 years, because sequoias, what you think? They're not going to burn?
Yeah.
And, you got to get the forest floor cleaned up. But yeah, we will be able to use our own. Also, there's a new product. I swear to God, I love this product, rolled concrete. It's a lot better than having to get all this stuff from everywhere else. I'm telling you, baby, I'm the one that buys the display model. I don't care if it's got a scratch. I ain't spending my time putting the IKEA together. I key you to do it. And so, no. And it's like, let me just put it in a short sentence. Bit of short-term pain for a lot of long-term gain. We should have never got here.
Yeah.
We should never have depended on imports to house our children.
Yeah, there you go. All right, something you want to get into, and you've been doing this now for nearly 30 years. So when you talk about something that you have never seen before, it is really an ordinary. It's not something that's ordinary at all. It's something that is kind of shocking to you. And you mentioned that you wanted to talk about unordinary things that happen in real estate. And I wanted you to share some of those wonderful stories for us, despite the fact you probably feel some pain in telling these stories. But you had recently something happen just, a couple of days ago that you wanted to share.
Yes. But first, I want to tell you a short, funny story. Because
Sure.
I believe if you give something that's maybe not so funny, you should give a little bit of fun to it. Okay, So years ago, I sold a house that in 26 days between a doctor and his wife here, the judge ordered me to sell it. And the problem with that was I did it in 26 days, and he had been trying to close the financials on this divorce for 20 years. So it got out.
Yeah.
It got out.
Mm-hmm.
She can do the impossible. I do not walk on water, people. Number one. But number two, I get a call, and it was a divorce situation, and it was, nice neighborhood. And I go over there, and I literally have to put the husband in one corner, like I am in the boxing ring with Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson, put her in another corner, and she's screaming, "We're getting divorced because he watches the porn." And you're just like, God, what I ever do? What I ever do?
Yeah.
I'm not even married. I'm dealing with this.
Yeah.
And long story short, we got that closed and moved on. Okay, so I come up with stuff all the time in real estate, and some of it I just think, God, thank you, it's not me, or lesson learned, another one for the books, I swear. However, it is really tough when you're in the real estate world and you deal with what we call real estate consumer savvy people.
Mm-hmm.
That means they're either a licensed real estate broker practicing, not somebody got their license 50 years ago, never sold a house, but someone current. Builders, developers, investors, flippers, people that are, we know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's even harder when you're dealing with one of those personalities and a real estate broker who is the seller, or say it's, a builder and the real estate broker is buying.
Yeah.
And you represent one of the parties. We see 3 houses. And now, mind you, this was Saturday, and I looked like death because some of you guys know the reason we didn't do the show last week is I had a little bit of an issue. I have a little bit of anemia.
And people are praying for you, by the way. People are praying for you. I've gotten several emails. Yes, people are thinking about you.
I told everybody I was I just had to get everything topped off. I took myself to the mechanic shop called the ER.
Yeah.
By the way, my sister said, "You want me to call the ambulance?" I said, "I'm not paying $1,000 for a fancy Uber."
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Help me up. Now, I've worked with this person before, and I know both parties, and they are good people. Okay, this is not a disparaging remark about anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So we go, and I said, "Okay, now there are some things I have to keep confidential depending on the party I represent." Now, at this time, there was basically nothing to keep confidential. We have quick funds. I knew it would be a cash deal, would be a quick closing, bada bing, bada bang. So we go, we look at the home, we look at a few other homes, come back, look at the home again. I get a call that night. I get a call the next day. Let's go back and look at it again. We go back, look at it again, come back. Okay. We decide we're going to do the offer. And let's just say, I'm going to use weird numbers. Let's say the house was on the market for $625,000.
Okay.
Okay. Beautiful home, beautiful yard, beautiful neighborhood, everything. And it really reminded me of the neighborhood you like.
Yeah.
But it's not your neighborhood.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And so, but a lot of the similarities. Mm-hmm. Well, we're in there, we're going through it. Well, we've already picked out a few things we wanted to leave, and I've negotiated out everything. We are done. We're solid. I have my proof of funds. We're down to the very last thing. Okay. Which is, if you're going to stay in one of my houses that say my buyer is fine, after we close, to protect everybody, keep us all on the same page, put money in escrow. Now, it doesn't actually go in an escrow. What we do is cut 2 checks. We might cut a small check, say $10,000.
Okay.
And a big check, say $400,000. Mm-hmm. The $400,000 you get to take right home with you.
Yeah.
When my client gets back or approves the possession, which means I videoed it or FaceTimed them or they flew in and they walked on a book, while I'm on the phone with them, we call the attorney and say, "Hey, release their check." Now, the check's already made to them, but we're just going to release that tiny small one, $10,000. And they will come pick it up. Okay? Everything's negotiated. One of the parties was having an issue. They could see it, but they weren't capturing their signatures because there's a button at the very bottom. If you scroll down, that says finish.
Okay.
If you don't click the button, it don't work.
Yeah.
So, and now we're working on this because I'm dealing with people in all different time zones from maybe 5 in the morning until maybe 11:30 at night. 5 days. And finally, we decided to do just let's not even worry about the commission because it was there. The money was there.
Yeah.
And they were going to pay me, and there was no problem for that. Well, we are scheduled to do the inspection. I told y'all it was going to be fast. I closed a house in 2 days. This was going to be about 10 days. Mm-hmm. Okay. the night before, I'm on the phone with the seller, negotiating the last little I to dot. Get off the phone. And boy, he was a tough cookie. Get off the phone with him. I get a text. Call me. And I see some weird email. Email's part Spanish. So I'm like, let me call. And I can read Spanish. So I called. I said, what's going on? Well, sometimes these things just happen. What things just happen? That's why I'm saying, oh, we just got pregnant. Oh, you did something to get there.
Yeah. So what was the issue?
They had 9 months ago, 9 months, put an offer on some property in Mexico.
Okay.
It got accepted, and they needed to close by the end of the month, and they would not have the money to do both of those things.
And you had no clue about the house in Mexico. You had no idea. You had no idea about the business in Mexico. Yeah. So why would you? Yeah, I was going to say what. And
Her parents lived.
Hold on, you're getting glitchy. Hold on. Shit, man.
And this is going to expire by noon tomorrow. No, we didn't do it.
That's a crazy story, and I can only imagine because that's something. Is that a question you usually ask somebody? Hey, listen, by the way, are you working?
Have you ever heard of it? Do you think that's in the real estate 101 book? Ask them if they got land from Mexico or Zimbabwe or Africa or.
No, but when you hire, this is a great question. When you hire a real estate person, you're signing a contract to work with them to find a home. Can you have multiple contracts with different people? But
guess what? That's in another country. That's not America, babe.
Yeah.
Different rules.
Well,
so what do? That's the next phase because this ship has sailed. This boat's crashed. What do you do then?
Yeah.
Okay. So number one, I said, no worries. We'll talk about this later. Let me call the seller. I hung up the phone. And of course, I couldn't tell them the reason. I just had to say that there was something unforeseen that happened and they cannot afford the property at this time. We've got to walk away.
Yeah.
Because it was not officially 100% signed.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a reason why.
They're mad. They thought the same thing, but the person really did have some trouble because I got all the other documents signed earlier just fine. Well, they're upset. They are so mad they can't see straight, and I don't blame them. But I have to remember, they are in real estate. They're in real estate. I have future obligations with all these people, so I apologize the best I could. I do not speak to my client out of fear of what I might say to them.
Yeah.
Like, sorry you didn't trust me enough to tell me the whole picture. Or I'm sorry that, they were like, oh, this happened. You worked so hard and we're so very sorry. And I thought they were like, is there anything we can do? And I thought, yeah, a trip to Mexico would be great. Can I come stay with you?
Yeah, it would have been nice. Obviously, it's almost like taking on, like being a lawyer and taking on a case, and like you have to be honest with me. You have to tell me everything so I can actually help you.
That's what I have told my kids since they were born, and all my clients. Tell me everything and let me decide what is important.
Yeah.
You may not even think it matters, but like a man and wife who's not officially divorced. Oh yeah, it matters.
Yeah,
it does. It killed me. Well, then I said, well, here's what we're going to do. I said, I didn't speak to my purchaser. I said, it's handled. That's all I could say was it's handled because I'm the one that had to make that ugly call. Mm-hmm. And the next morning I got to unload. So the only thing I can say is class and integrity out trumps everything else every time. Mm-hmm. I apologize to the person saying I had no idea this was the case. I don't know everything, so I'm not going to by any means throw anybody under the bus because I don't know the whole truth from every side of this. I do know that his parents are older, hers are older, they're helpless spelling, and so it just is what it is.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I have another deal with this same person, and potentially a deal with her in the future. So what do? Maintain, and you and I talked about this, Switzerland status.
Mm-hmm.
I never want to say anything bad because I don't know their whole situation. I don't want to go out here and say anything bad because I don't know.
Yeah.
And the last thing anybody wants is chaos or drama or confusion surrounding their property.
I hear you. There's no doubt. All right. Hey, Teresa, as always, remarkable. I always learn something from your big show, Teresa Autrey, 294-4210, 294-4210. You can call her directly. Of course, she always takes text as well. Keller Williams is who she's with, and she does fantastic work. And I know you have got some really big things working, and I'm so happy to see that the market is finally chilling out a little bit. I know certainly the stock market and with the tariffs, and everyone's freaking out, but everyone just needs to settle down. Step back a little bit, pause and pray a little bit. It's going to be okay, and it's going to turn out well for everybody. So greatly appreciate you. How can people get in touch with you again?
You guys can call me 205-294-4210, text or email tautry@kw.com. That's a little bit shorter than my long email, so that helps out. And remember, if you've got any divorce, death, stress, or simply you just don't want to do anything to your property, call me. I do have people that will buy those. And then also remember that we have builders, flippers, developers, because we want to make sure that there's a product that every person in America who wants to has a nice, decent, substantial product that them and their family can own and make great memories at a reasonable, affordable price. And that's what we're doing.
Thank you, buddy. Happy Easter.
You too. Bye.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.